What's up? Tina here. Welcome to episode 7 of the Skates DZ podcast. Today we have such a special episode in store for you. With quad and skate competitions popping up all across America, we thought it's the perfect time to go over what a skate competition framework can look like. And so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into the Rollpocalypse competition framework, brought to you by CIB and happening on June 18th. If you'd like to compete or attend Rollpocalypse, check out our Instagram because we have a giveaway going on right now. And for now, let's get into it. All right, well, thank you so much, Nick, for coming on to the Skate CC podcast. It's so great to have you on today, and I'm really excited for everything that we're going to talk about.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome to be here.
For those who don't know, you can find Nick on Instagram at Nick the Medic. He's a pretty rad quad skater, and he's on the show today to talk a bit about, I hope I pronounce this right, Rollpocalypse.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
And the flyer and everything. I love the art behind it. On that note, let's talk a little bit about Rollpocalypse. That's a tongue twister.
Yes, it is.
So tell us a little bit about, what exactly is Rollpocalypse?
I believe, it's there hasn't been a really big only roller skating competition done in a while. There was Blading Cup just last about a month or two ago, and that was kind of in conjunction with the inline community, which was awesome, and a great way for us to be showcased and to show the other, the rolling community what we're doing. And we're doing it again, actually, having Etnies partnering with CIB, Etnies being specifically, a skateboard company, shoe company, and they're pretty large in that manner. And for them to want to work with roller skating and to do a roller skate competition at their facility was amazing to hear.
And Nick, have you yourself ever competed in a competition?
Oh, as far as like a roller skating park competition, I have. Yes, I have one time. It was in Texas, and it was 2016, maybe. I don't know. It was interesting.
Wow.
I did have a couple of critiques, and I think I'm bringing them to the table.
Awesome. Let's get into that. So, what disciplines are covered at the event?
So we're kind of following loosely the skateboarding Olympic criteria. So we have a very large street course, which is done exactly as in the Olympics. And the only difference, so definitely, would be the Park Series bowl that they bring into the Olympic format for skateboarding is huge. It's massive, and there's only a few of them, in our country itself, and a handful around the world. But we're picking one bowl, or actually a couple bowls, depending on which level you're playing in or you're competing in, and as far as where you're competing in. So we'll have room for you to move around. You can do tricks back and forth, or you can flow around, use hips, and use the whole entire course as you wish. So park and street.
Being that you mentioned there are some other competitions that are happening. There was actually recently one in, I believe, Virginia. So for our East Coast skaters out there, shout out Roller Chicken, who took a big prize in that. How would you say that Rollpocalypse is different from other competitions?
Well, I mean, first off, we have the incredible foundation of CIB and their community of over 300 chapters worldwide. It's incredible what they've already established. And I felt like we just wanted to create something that was based, for the community specifically, and nothing is ever set in stone in what I've created and what I've already written down. It's been brought from other sources, and I've just made it our version. It's not mine. It's the communities. It has to be the communities, and the community has to take it and do with it what they will. Specifically, as far as rules being, the community needs to determine all that. I just wanted to create a starting point. I didn't want to focus the competition on age or gender. We thought long and hard, what kind of levels to use, and the verbiage for those levels, and having a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, however you want to call it, whatever stage you're at, we wanted to accommodate all skaters.
We talk a little bit about between the levels, what's the difference, and what should someone expect if they are looking to compete? How should they assess themselves in terms of the level?
That's a great question. That's a kind of difficult as it already is. We've laid out a little bit already online, as far as like what to expect and where you should really place yourself. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to be honest with yourself. Some people might feel like they want to go for it. There's nothing
Right.
wrong with that. Good for you. So yes, we have three levels.
Yeah.
We like to think that the level one is, you're more like just starting out. The bowl for level one has a couple roll-in areas, so you don't have to worry about dropping in off the coping, which seems to be a mental block for a lot of newer skaters. And that's cool that the bowl actually accommodates
Mm-hmm.
that with the roll-in, so you can start thinking about your trick immediately. You don't have to worry about the drop-in that might mess you up and distract you from the trick you want to perform for everyone. So I think that's really cool that we have a bowl for that for
Right.
newer skaters, and then for the more advanced skaters, we have a more advanced bowl. I mean, I guess you could call it a little higher up, no roll-ins, and you have to drop it all into the cooking.
I think a lot of times it also depends on the facility or the park that you're competing at and what you can bring to the table, and to have that comfort and kind of flexibility with options. I think will definitely suit people, and I think that can add to the comfort and kind of lessen the stress while competing, because it's a mental game when you're competing within yourself. It's great that the park will allow for different options in that regard. Can you talk a bit more about level two and level three and kind of the difference between those
I
two?
feel at level two, you are, a moderate skater. You're dropping in at different heights, maybe like 5 to 6 feet. You're comfortable with that and able to do tricks at the coping at that height. Maybe you're starting off on some slides and some grinds, a lot of basic little things. Maybe you're just starting to learn aerials and whatnot. Level three, I would say that you would excel all of those things. You're dropping at 6 to 8 to 10 feet. You're airing out of the bowl. You're doing grinds and slides. You're doing aerials out of the bowl, or Miller flips, or inverts. I think that's kind of where I put myself. You think of level three as, yes, you're doing a lot of aerials and a lot of air work and a lot of pretty amazing stuff. And level one would be newer skater, and then you have the middle. I feel, and you got to
Right.
find somewhere. And I feel like every skater is always going to be in between somewhere, and that's okay. And I feel like we're just going to have to make a judgment call. Unfortunately, we could not do a qualifying round. If we were to take all of the skaters and do a qualifying round, we would need a whole entire extra day. And we don't have the time for that, unfortunately. But I've already done the math on how that
Wow,
would make it possible. We hope to grow
that's
upon that
great.
next year and to actually offer that first day of like qualifying, where the first day is all qualifying and the second day is actually the competition. That's where I feel like the next step would be.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you guys are already learning from the process and kind of fine tuning for the future. And I really do appreciate that wherever you CIB, the hosts of this competition are speaking about it. You are saying that this is kind of a work in progress. We're learning together on what works best. And I think that's a really important message to keep in mind, especially with the fact that there are so many newer skaters out there, and people are new to competitions even if they've been skating for a while, and so it's a lot to get used to and a lot to kind of think about, and there will definitely be things that can be improved on and thought about for the future. So that's great to see that there are already improvements being made. Cool. So I feel like we kind of touched on this, but in terms of competition fairness and inclusivity, how is Rollpocalypse handling that? You mentioned that there are no gender or age restrictions or categories. So what does that necessarily mean for the
As
competition?
far as there's no age, there's no gender, it's all inclusive. The most important thing, though, is the fact that we're releasing or have released a criteria before the event to show the judges and the skaters um, just a basic foundation of what we all can be looking for. Nothing's set in stone. This can obviously be edited very simply. And it can be grown upon, and things can be deleted, things can be added, and I hope it does, and it needs to happen. You can find this, by the way, what is it? I think it's CIBcrew.com as far as the judging criteria, what we've come up with, and what we've released to the community. There's also a feedback blog now, too, because this is where it gets really important, and it allows people to come in and comment and provide thoughts and critique, and this needs to happen. It needs to happen, obviously, in a very positive way, because I will admit right now, I have not done a perfect job. There's going to be issues. The community is going to want something changed, and that's completely fine. No problem. I don't mind. I don't care. That's fine. Change it. Cool. Whatever. It's about starting somewhere and like I said, on the right foot. Just a couple other things too, as far as competition goes, we want to make sure there's odd amount of judges. We take averages of all the score numbers as far as getting trying to eliminate some kind of a biasness, from the skater to the judge. Obviously, having the right kind of qualifications of the judges, because our criteria is based upon people that know what they're looking at, and so having the right qualifications as a judge, not necessarily being able to do the trick, but someone that's been around the community and has seen it and has witnessed it for a good amount of time, or skates a lot of time. I would say, you can gain experience in both ways. Yeah, just a couple other things too. Lake Forest Etnies, it's ADA compliant. There's no restrictions there. All access is free. Even all of our merch is all gender options. I think we're trying to touch a little bit on everything.
I think it's great that CIB is being very transparent with the all the information really. Like you said, the criteria. You can easily go online to the CIB blog and check out how is it going to be scored, and what the criteria is. And I think knowing that ahead of time, as well as knowing how the levels break down, really puts you know the judgment on the individual. You can really decide based on this criteria, and you being able to line up a flow and a series of tricks, or maybe the height of your airs and the consistency that you can flow with, and knowing that ahead of time will allow you to better judge which category to be a part of. That way, as a skater, they can get the best experience from the competition, and really feel like they're in the right category, and competing against other skaters of the same level. Yeah, so that's totally cool. You don't necessarily see that every day from a competition where it's very, very transparent. And I think that really does prepare the community well. And so I'm really excited for June 18th when Rollpocalypse is going to happen. Um,
Me too.
yeah. So I do know that the judging framework has kind of been in development for a little while, about 2 years. And like we've talked about, it's definitely a work in progress from here on out. Um, but let's touch a little bit on the scoring framework and how skaters will be evaluated while competing.
So it's a little complex, and it's broken down into two categories: objective and subjective. Objective being what trick did you do, yes or no, and it was objectively at that height, or was at that length, or was at that speed. It was objectively that trick, and it was just facts, and that's what you saw. There's a huge subjective element. When it comes to roller skating, there's very many, sorry, that's very many, that's hilarious. There's many facets of skaters that come in from all different elements, such as artistic background, hockey background, roller derby background, jam background, um, our gymnastics background, ice skating background. So you have this blend of style that is, I look at other sports and they're all very similar as far as like That's a style. That's a style. Well, inlining style that comes in. A whole bunch of so many styles that come in. Oh my God. I apologize. Oh my God. This is too loud. Calm down, calm down, calm down. So many styles, so many facets that when we started sitting down and we started practicing and doing this, we realized that the style of a skater was so varied and it was amazing. We realized that the subjective element of a skater's style played a bigger role than what the numbers we were writing down. So when we start to judge a skater, we start to see how many tricks can be ran in that amount of time, and we start to count and start to see what all the tricks are worth. Mind you, a trick is happening everywhere between like 5 to 8 seconds, I think maybe even 5 to 7 seconds, depending on the course. So you have like 5 to 7 seconds to write down a number to what you think that trick is worth before you have to put your head back up and not miss the second trick. And that's your job and responsibility as a judge. So you have to be quick.
Right.
We decided to go, since we're doing an analog system and everything is done with paper and not computers or tablets, and we don't have the luxury of technology as much, especially since it's a lot of funding. We felt a 0 to 5 point system was the best way to approach this. We've already gotten some feedback about how, you can't put a trick from 0 to 5. You have so many tricks, it doesn't make sense, it doesn't work. But in reality, though, is that we are using decimal points, and we're only using one decimal point. So it's not just 0 to 5, and there's 5 areas. No, there's 50. There's 50 slots where you could stick a trick in. And that's very difficult. Mm-hmm. 50 slots where you have to stick what you think as a judge, what you just witnessed. Maybe make a little note, and you might come back at it at the very end of the run. But you have to make a quick little note about it, and then 5, 6 seconds later, you have to do it again. When it's all said and done, and the 45-second run is done, you can go back and maybe make some tweaks about what you just saw and how things adjust. You look at the overall number of tricks that they perform, and in comparison to how many tricks everyone else is doing, and you start to realize where they should stand on an objective level. But then there's a subjective element that comes into play, like I was talking about. So what we're doing also is we're doing an overall subjective score that gets averaged into your objective score as well. And that formulates your final score. Judges aren't doing any of the math. They're actually watching the skaters skate. They're writing down the scores. When the run is done, they turn around and hand it to a judging liaison. The judging liaison is then going to do the math, come up with a score, and then hand that score to someone that's on a whiteboard and produce the score up for everyone. We also hope to able to get these scorecards back to skaters to allow full transparency, which I know is a very important thing for the community. And skaters want to know if they're competing, they want to know what they did and what they can work on. One thing, specifically is that the skater will know who is judging them as far as the judging panel. They won't know specifically what judges are saying what.
That's a very good, yet complex system. I think it's definitely important to take into consideration the objective and subjective, because that's totally true. And style and steez should count for something for sure. And the fact that the skaters do get back their feedback makes it very clear and transparent on what was thought of the run, and while still maintaining some kind of boundary there with the anonymous feedback. So who are the judges that will be at Rollpocalypse?
We have an incredible panel. First off, I was tasked, I really tried to make it diverse. I wanted to make sure we had people from all over and even different facets. I even got a really incredible skateboarder / roller skater that is incredible. So judges we have, first and foremost, who I just talked to today is Irene Chang from the East Coast who are flying in, an old veteran of Vert. She's phenomenal. I cannot wait to see her when she gets over here. Speaking of legends and Vert, we have Duke Rennie as well coming in. The skateboarder I was talking about is he goes by the name of Swampy. He is definitely an LA local favorite, and he's an incredible skateboarder, incredible roller skater, incredible human. And yes, and I'm really happy to have him a part of this. Another person we have that I'm really excited about is Tara Bishop. Um, she's from the Bay Area. I used to be on the Moxie skate team. She's now part of Patina Coco, and she's been a part of the park roller skating scene. I want to say for almost 10 years, if not a little more. Been around for a while, which is amazing. We also have Havoc. Haley Havoc from San Diego. She is a part of CIB. She's been around for many, many years as well. Let's see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who am I forgetting? Oh, Kid, and then we have Kid Ace. And who doesn't know Kid Ace and all of her yoga? So Kid Ace is, and Kid Ace is actually a big part of help put on the competition as well, which is rad, and she's going to be one of the judges. Um, we do have a backup judge, and right now it's Nika. I don't remember Nika's name. Nika from Hawaii, and I don't know her last name. I apologize. Right now, she might be one of the liaisons for the judges, but she's keyed into all of the judging conversations. In case something happens and we lose a judge, I need to be able to have someone qualified ready to go. So I kind of covered those bases, which I'm really excited about.
That's great. And that's a tough list of judges. That'll be amazing to have them all in one place together. And having an odd number of judges, I think definitely adds to the fairness.
I wish we could have. We're running two competitions at the same time, which is a little difficult, and which means I need twice as many judges.
Yeah.
But in a perfect world, though, I would love to have 5 judges on a panel, on each panel. But that would require 10 people, which is very difficult for me to come together for.
Yeah.
So, but in a perfect world, just to throw it out there, 5 judges for one competition is ideal. And then typically, if you want to talk about getting rid of biasness, what they do is that you get the 5 scores, right? And you get rid of the highest one, you get rid of the lowest one, and then you take the remaining 3, and then get that average. And that's the best way. I love that.
So I don't know if you know this off the top of your head, but do you know how long skaters have to register to compete?
Yeah, we were talking about that today, and we're saying right now, definitely the night before, we just need to make sure and confirm with Etnies that we can do it the day of.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great. That leaves a lot of flexibility for skaters out there. So that's awesome. Is there anything else that skaters should know in terms of preparing for the competition, or if they're kind of on the fence of competing? Is there anything that you would tell a skater out there?
I think you should just come be a part of history. I think this is all a gigantic learning and growing experience for everyone in the community. We have the whole entire skate park not rented. The whole roller skating community have the skate park the whole entire day. It's just roller skaters and friends and family and no one else. So it's an incredible safe environment to come and just have a good time and let loose. Um, I think we've created a phenomenal structure and yeah, an environment for skaters to come and showcase what they want everyone to see. The other thing I want everyone to know is that we've really made sure, and it was my job and my task to make sure that there was plenty of time allotted for everything. We have time allotted throughout the whole entire day, extra space and extra buffers throughout the whole entire day, in between it all. And even at the end of it all, I gave all my numbers to Etnies and they approved it and they said, yes, that looks good. And they looked at me and they said, you know what? Even if it runs to like a couple hours even after, no problem. We'll stay open for you. We have the lights. So it was awesome to get the reinsurance because they even knew that we had so many safeguards put in place. But hey, anything can happen. So it's just nice to hear though that Etna still has our back, and
Yeah.
if we need to, go an extra hour over, it's not a problem. We have lights, and we're going to keep running.
And that's a great partnership. I'm glad that skate parks across the world, and especially in the United States, are becoming well versed with quad skaters again, and that's just a great feeling across the board. So I think that covers a lot of Rollpocalypse. But while I have you here, Nick, let's learn a little bit more about you. Can you tell me a little bit more about your skate story and when you started skating?
My skate story. Let's see here. I think I first started skating at the age of 13. I started playing hockey in the Bay Area. I think it was the San Jose Sharks that came into town. It's what really prompted me to like go, what's hockey? That's amazing because I played every other sport and nothing ever clicked. I played baseball, football, basketball, volleyball, messed around with tennis. I mean, I played everything. I was very active, but nothing ever stuck. And then when hockey came to the Bay Area, it really caught my attention. So yeah, I quickly got on the ice and started skating. That's where my skate background came from. And it stayed that way up until about 2007 when I was living in Sacramento. And I went to my local pub down the street, and one of the managers there just happened to be starting a roller derby league, and it was their first bout coming up, and they needed a paramedic as a standby to be at the bout, and I was a paramedic, and I was like, yeah, I can do that. That's amazing. So then I found roller derby, and then shortly after I was coaching, and then I bought quads in 2007 as well. And then I started coaching and helping out with the leagues. And then in roller derby, I kind of started to separate myself from that sport in about 2000. These years. It was 2013, 2014, and I swear I was playing. I was actually just starting to play hockey again, and I see someone with CIB sliders on their roller skates, and I was like, "Excuse me, what are you doing? That's amazing! Oh my God, really?" And I don't think I've been back on the ice since, and and I've been playing in the parks ever since. And here I am now.
That's fantastic. What a long history with skating. That's so rewarding. Do you think you'll skate to the day you die? At least trying.
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna skate for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And if it's like I said, if it's not the skate parks, like my love for hockey is
yeah,
still there, and I still think about it all the time. It's so much more work to like go out to the rink. It's so much easier to go to the skate park. It's hard to justify sometimes, but I think about it all the
right.
time. I really do. So I'll be skating in one form or another. So scorecard. We're working on a scorecard. We want to release that to the community as well. I don't know if that's going to happen before. Hopefully, it will happen. There's nothing to see. It's just it's after you do a run is it's just your numbers and and then what a subjective score would be and it slightly affects your objective score. And that's about it. So there's really it's just more of a grid piece of
Mhm.
paper, but I think we do want to release it to the community that way people can see kind of what we're using and nothing's hidden, nothing's nothing. Full transparency is what's really important for the community.
Yeah, that's totally important, and I respect that y'all are able to do that and give that to the community because, like we said earlier, that really will help individuals prepare themselves mentally and kind of assess their capabilities for competing in such a competition. So that's really great. All right, Nick the Medic, thank you so much for coming on to the Skates Easy show and sharing your knowledge with us and all about Rollpocalypse and all you have planned for the future. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure the community does as well. And we're so stoked for the Rollpocalypse event happening on June 18th. So stay tuned.
Thank you for having me.
Skate
Skates easy
easy
and
and shred
shred
with
with
love.
love.